Have you ever felt lost, like life has pulled the rug from under you? That moment when nothing seems to work, when failure seems permanent, and the old version of yourself feels broken. Today, I want to tell you something very simple, yet very powerful. You have the power to rebuild yourself, brick by brick, moment by moment. Yes, even after setbacks, even after pain, you can rise again, stronger than ever before. Have you ever noticed how in life, sometimes everything just seems to fall apart? One day you're confident, hopeful, moving forward, and the next day, it feels like the ground beneath your feet has vanished. Maybe it's a failure that hit harder than you expected, a relationship that ended suddenly, a dream that didn't come true, or even a moment where you simply feel disconnected from yourself. And in that silence, in that emptiness, it's tempting to pretend it never happened, to hide from the pain, to convince yourself that ignoring it will somehow make it disappear. But my dear friends, rebuilding yourself does not start with denial. It starts with acknowledgement. Acknowledgement is like turning on a light in a dark room. You need to see clearly where the damage is before you can begin to repair it. If you break a bone, you don't ignore the pain and hope it heals on its own. You set it, you tend to it, you care for it. The same is true for your mind, for your heart, and for your life. The first step in rebuilding yourself is to look at your broken pieces, not with shame, not with regret, not with anger, but with honesty. Say to yourself, yes, I have been hurt. Yes, I have failed. Yes, I have lost my way at times. And that is okay. Because here's the truth, life will break you at times. It is inevitable. And it's not a sign that you are weak. It's not a sign that you are lesser. On the contrary, it's a part of the journey that every human being experiences. What makes the difference is how you respond to this break. Will you continue to live in fragments, wishing things were different? Or will you take that first courageous step of acknowledgement, looking straight at your pain and whispering, I see you, I feel you, and now I will begin to heal. Acknowledging the break is also an act of self-love. It tells your heart that it is allowed to hurt, that it is allowed to grieve, that it is allowed to be human. And only when you give yourself permission to truly feel, can you start gathering the pieces, not to mourn them forever, but to begin the gentle, intentional process of putting yourself back together. The cracks may remain, yes, but they are not weaknesses. They are proof that you have lived, you have faced life, and you have survived. And from these very cracks, the light can enter. After acknowledging the break, after facing the cracks in our lives, the next step is one of the most profound and liberating acts a human being can undertake: forgiveness. And when I say forgiveness, I don't just mean forgiving the people who have wronged you. That is important, yes, but even more crucial is forgiving yourself. How many of us carry around guilt like a heavy stone in our hearts, blaming ourselves for mistakes we made, choices we wish we could take back, or moments when we fell short of our own expectations? That weight can crush the spirit more than anything else, more than the failures, more than the heartbreaks, because it keeps us trapped in the past. Forgiving yourself is like opening a door to freedom. It is saying, I am human, and being human means I am allowed to stumble, to falter, to make choices that do not always turn out as I hoped. When you forgive yourself, you give your heart permission to heal. You give your mind permission to stop replaying the failures like a broken record, and you allow your soul to breathe again. And this forgiveness is not about forgetting or pretending the pain didn't happen. It's about releasing the grip that resentment and self blame have over your life. It's about stepping into a space where growth can finally occur. And then there is forgiving others, which is often even harder. Sometimes the wounds inflicted by others are deep, and we tell ourselves that holding on to anger or resentment will somehow protect us, or that it will serve as justice. But my dear friends, resentment is a poison we take, hoping the other person will feel pain. And the truth is, the only one it harms is you. When you forgive someone, you are not excusing their actions. You are simply freeing yourself from carrying the burden of bitterness. You are saying, I refuse to let your actions dictate the peace of my mind. I choose to live beyond this pain. Forgiveness, in essence, is a gift. It is the bridge between who you were and who you want to become. It allows the heart to unclench, the mind to clear, and the spirit to move forward. And the moment you practice it sincerely, even if it feels small at first, you will feel a lightness that you may not have known for years. You will realize that rebuilding yourself is not just about fixing what was broken, but about letting go of everything that weighs you down, so that the new version of you can rise without chains, without baggage, without fear. Once we have acknowledged our break and embraced forgiveness, the next step is to reconnect with our vision, our inner compass, the light that guides us through the storm. So often, when life knocks us down, we lose sight of who we are and what truly matters to us. We start wandering aimlessly, following distractions, comparing ourselves to others, and forgetting our own purpose. And in that drift, we feel lost, unmoored, as though the very essence of our life has been misplaced. But the truth is, your vision is still there, waiting for you. It has never left. You simply need to pause, look inward, and ask the question, who do I want to become? What do I truly want my life to stand for? Reconnecting with your vision is not about creating an elaborate plan or a rigid roadmap. It's about returning to your core, to your values, to the things that make your heart beat with meaning. Maybe it's kindness, creativity, wisdom, courage, or love. Maybe it's a dream you shelved years ago because it seemed impossible. Whatever it is, your vision is your North Star. And without it, even rebuilding yourself can feel like constructing a house on sand. No matter how hard you try, it will never feel solid or lasting. When you take the time to reconnect with your vision, something magical happens. You start making choices differently. Small decisions like how you spend your mornings or whom you surround yourself with begin to align with the life you want to create. Your energy shifts. You stop chasing things that drain you and start moving toward things that lift you. And more importantly, you start believing again in the possibility of transformation. And here is the beautiful part. Your vision doesn't need to be perfect, and it doesn't need to be grandiose. It just needs to be honest. It just needs to speak to the truth of who you are and who you want to be. Maybe it's as simple as becoming a person of integrity, someone who spreads joy, someone who contributes meaningfully to the lives of others. Maybe it's building a life of balance and peace, rather than one that simply chases success. The key is to allow that vision to light your path, to guide your steps, and to remind you every single day why you are rebuilding yourself in the first place. When you reconnect with your vision, you start seeing setbacks not as endings, but as detours, as lessons that are shaping you into the person you are meant to become. Every failure, every heartbreak, every disappointment becomes a stepping stone rather than a barrier. Your vision transforms from an abstract idea into a living, breathing force that fuels your actions, gives meaning to your struggles, and inspires you to rise again. no matter how many times life knocks you down. Once you have acknowledged your break, forgiven yourself and others, and reconnected with your vision, the next step is to understand the power of small steps. You see, so often we look at the mountain ahead of us and feel overwhelmed. We look at the version of ourselves we aspire to be and feel it is so far away, so unattainable, that it seems easier to give up before we even begin. But here's the truth. Rebuilding yourself is never about making giant leaps overnight. It is about the quiet, consistent, patient steps you take every single day. The small choices that may seem insignificant at the moment, but compound over time to create profound transformation. Think about a sculptor carving a statue. He doesn't finish the masterpiece with a single strike. He chips away, slowly, carefully, sometimes stepping back to admire the work, sometimes adjusting his approach, until what was once a rough block of stone becomes a work of art. Your journey of rebuilding yourself is no different. Each small habit, each tiny act of courage, each moment where you choose growth over comfort is like a strike of the chisel shaping the masterpiece that is you. Sometimes, these small steps are as simple as choosing to wake up a little earlier, spending 10 minutes reflecting on your life, or reading a page of an inspiring book. Sometimes it's about having a difficult conversation you've been avoiding, or forgiving someone in your heart when it feels impossible. Sometimes it's about saying no to what drains you and yes to what nourishes you. None of these actions alone will transform your life overnight, but their consistent accumulation creates a momentum that no setback can stop. And here's another beautiful truth. Small steps are forgiving. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to do everything at once. You simply have to start and keep starting even when progress feels invisible. Because even when it feels like nothing is changing, the very act of showing up day after day gradually rewires your habits, reshapes your mindset, and rebuilds your sense of self. The journey of rebuilding is not a sprint, it is a marathon. And in a marathon, every step, no matter how small, brings you closer to the finish line. So, my friends, don't underestimate the power of the small. Don't wait for a dramatic moment of clarity or for the perfect time to rebuild your life. Begin with what you can do today, even if it feels minor. Smile a little more. Speak a little kinder to yourself. Take one action aligned with your vision. These are the tiny bricks that will eventually form the foundation of the life you are destined to live. And one day, when you look back, you will be amazed at how far those small, consistent steps have carried you, how a life that once felt broken has been rebuilt into something strong, resilient, and beautiful. As you take small steps forward on your journey of rebuilding, one of the most powerful tools you can embrace is the cultivation of positive habits. You see, habits are like the invisible architecture of your life. They shape your thoughts, your actions, your energy, and ultimately, the person you become. If your habits are negative, inconsistent, or unaligned with your vision, even the most inspiring goals can falter. But if your habits are positive, intentional, and consistent, they become the very scaffolding that holds you up when life gets heavy. Positive habits are not about perfection or discipline for the sake of discipline. They are about creating a life that nurtures your mind, body, and soul. It might be as simple as dedicating a few minutes every morning to reflect on what matters most, writing down what you are grateful for, or setting a single clear intention for your day. It could be prioritizing your health, exercising your body, or choosing to eat and sleep in a way that fuels your energy. It could also be as subtle as cultivating patience in moments of frustration, or speaking kindly to yourself when self-doubt creeps in. These habits may seem small, almost insignificant, but over time, they weave a fabric of resilience and strength that carries you through life's storms. And here's the beautiful part: habits are cumulative. One small positive action often triggers another. When you take a moment to meditate or reflect in the morning, you are more likely to approach challenges with clarity and calm. When you practice kindness or patience, your relationships flourish. When you feed your mind with knowledge, inspiration, or uplifting thoughts, your perspective expands and your capacity for growth increases. Each habit, no matter how tiny, compounds silently, building a foundation that eventually transforms not just your days, but your very identity. Of course, building positive habits is rarely easy. Old patterns have a way of clinging to us, whispering that change is uncomfortable or unnecessary. But remember, each time you choose a positive habit over a negative one, you are sending a powerful message to yourself. I am worthy of growth. I am capable of change. I am committed to rebuilding my life. Over time, these repeated choices become effortless. What once felt like discipline turns into instinct. What once required effort becomes second nature. So, my friends, do not underestimate the power of the little things you do consistently. The moment you embrace habits that align with your values and your vision, you start constructing an inner fortress. Strong, resilient, and unshakable. These habits become your allies when challenges arise, your companions in moments of doubt, and your guiding stars as you rebuild the life you've always desired. And one day, when you look back, you will realize that it was not a single act of heroism, but 1,000 small, intentional habits that transformed your life completely. As you cultivate positive habits and begin taking small, intentional steps toward rebuilding yourself, one of the most transformative realizations you can have is that you do not have to walk this journey alone. The people you surround yourself with, your friends, colleagues, mentors, and even casual acquaintances, have a profound influence on the person you become. Their energy, their mindset, their words, and their actions seep into your own life in ways you may not even notice. And when you are in the process of rebuilding, it is absolutely essential to choose companions who uplift, inspire, and support you. Think about it. When you are around people who constantly complain, criticize, or focus on the negative, their energy pulls you down even when your intentions are good. Their doubts become your doubts. Their fears become your fears. And slowly, without realizing it, you begin to mirror the mindset that drains you instead of elevating you. On the other hand, when you surround yourself with people who are optimistic, growth-oriented, compassionate, and wise, their energy nourishes your spirit. Their belief in themselves and in you becomes contagious. Their courage and resilience remind you that you too are capable of rising again. Choosing uplifting companions does not mean isolating yourself from reality or avoiding difficult people. It means consciously prioritizing relationships that fuel your growth and being mindful of the influence others have on your energy. It means seeking mentors who have walked the path you aspire to take, listening to their stories, and learning from their experiences. It means spending time with friends who challenge you to be better, who celebrate your progress, and who hold space for your vulnerability without judgment. And here's the beautiful truth: relationships are reciprocal. As you surround yourself with uplifting people, you too become a source of positivity, encouragement, and strength for others. By creating a circle that thrives on growth, compassion, and mutual support, You build an environment that reinforces the transformation you are striving for. You become part of a community that reflects your aspirations and reminds you that rebuilding yourself is not a solitary struggle. It is a shared journey of humanity, connection, and love. So, my dear friends, pay attention to the company you keep. Observe how people make you feel when you are around them. Drained, anxious, doubtful, or inspired, energized, hopeful. Align yourself with those whose presence expands your heart and sharpens your vision. Because in the process of rebuilding your life, your environment and the people in it are not just background. They are active partners, shaping the trajectory of your growth, supporting your resilience, and reminding you that even after setbacks, you do not have to rebuild alone. As you surround yourself with uplifting people, another essential step in rebuilding yourself is learning and adapting. Life is an incredible teacher, but its lessons are rarely convenient or easy. Often we stumble, we fail, we make mistakes, and our first instinct is to resist, to blame, or to feel defeated. But every setback, every mistake, every moment of discomfort carries with it a hidden opportunity, the chance to learn, to grow, and to become stronger. If you can train yourself to see challenges not as obstacles, but as teachers, the process of rebuilding becomes less daunting and more empowering. Think about it. When a child falls while learning to walk, they do not stop trying. They analyze, they adjust, they try again. And each attempt, even when it fails, teaches them something about balance, strength, and perseverance. We too must approach our lives with the same mindset. Every failure, every heartbreak, every disappointment contains a lesson that, if we are willing to see it, can guide us toward becoming a wiser, stronger, and more resilient version of ourselves. Learning and adapting also means being honest with yourself. It means asking difficult questions. What could I have done differently? What patterns in my thinking or behavior led me here? What am I avoiding that is keeping me stuck? These questions are not meant to induce guilt or self-blame. They are meant to illuminate the path forward. When you answer them with honesty, you equip yourself with insight. And insight is the foundation upon which transformation is built. Adaptation is equally important. Life is never static. The circumstances around us change, people change, and sometimes even our dreams evolve. If you cling rigidly to old ways of thinking or to outdated habits, you risk being left behind. But if you cultivate the flexibility to adjust, to pivot, and to embrace new perspectives, you become unstoppable. Adapting does not mean abandoning your vision or compromising your values. It means approaching life with humility, curiosity, and a willingness to grow even when it is uncomfortable. And here's the remarkable thing. The more you commit to learning and adapting, the more you discover your own resilience. You realize that you are capable of navigating uncertainty, overcoming setbacks, and responding to life's challenges with grace and intelligence. Each lesson learned, each adjustment made, becomes a stepping stone in the journey of rebuilding yourself. And over time, you will look back and see that the obstacles you once feared were, in fact, the very experiences that shaped you into the person you were always meant to become. As you learn and adapt through life's challenges, one of the most vital qualities you must cultivate is emotional strength. Life, my friends, will not always go according to plan. Even with the best intentions, even with the strongest efforts, you will face moments of doubt, fear, disappointment, and pain. It is in these moments that emotional strength becomes your anchor, your steady hand in the storm, and your quiet source of resilience. Emotional strength is not about being unfeeling, Nor is it about pretending that difficulties do not affect you. It is about acknowledging your emotions, understanding them, and choosing to rise above them without being controlled by them. Imagine a tree in a storm. The wind may bend its branches, the rain may weigh them down, but the roots remain firm deep in the earth. Emotional strength is your root. It keeps you grounded when life tries to pull you in every direction. It allows you to face criticism without crumbling, to confront failure without despair, and to move forward even when the path is unclear. When you cultivate emotional strength, you are not denying the storm exists. You are learning to dance in the rain, to bend without breaking, and to find calm in the midst of chaos. Developing emotional strength also requires self-awareness. It means recognizing the triggers that disturb your peace and learning to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. It means taking responsibility for your own happiness rather than handing it over to circumstances or other people. It is the realization that while you cannot control every event in your life, you can always control how you respond to it. This shift in perspective transforms challenges from threats into opportunities for growth and pain from a burden into a teacher. And perhaps the most profound aspect of emotional strength is patience. The journey of rebuilding yourself is rarely quick or linear. There will be setbacks, moments of doubt, and times when progress feels invisible. Emotional strength allows you to persevere, to keep taking steps forward, even when the results are not immediate, and to trust that each effort, no matter how small, is shaping you into a stronger, wiser version of yourself. It reminds you that life is not about avoiding hardship, but about learning to navigate it with grace, courage, and integrity. When you cultivate emotional strength, you not only rebuild yourself, you also inspire others. People are drawn to those who remain calm in chaos, who respond with compassion instead of anger, and who carry themselves with dignity even in the face of adversity. Emotional strength becomes contagious. It radiates outward, influencing your relationships, your work, and your entire environment. And in the process, you discover a truth that is both simple and profound. The strongest person is not the one who avoids the storm, but the one who stands firm, rooted in purpose and resilience, while the storm rages around them. As you cultivate emotional strength and resilience, one of the most powerful ways to rebuild yourself is by serving others and giving back. You see, life is not just about healing yourself or achieving personal success. True transformation occurs when your journey of rebuilding intersects with the lives of others. When you extend kindness, support, and love to those around you, something extraordinary happens. The act of helping others begins to heal you from the inside out. It reminds you that your life has purpose beyond your own struggles, that your pain can become a source of empathy, and your experiences can become a beacon of hope for someone else. Serving others does not always require grand gestures. It can be as simple as offering a listening ear to a friend in distress, encouraging someone who feels lost, or sharing the lessons you've learned from your own challenges. Sometimes it is the small, consistent acts of generosity, the smile to a stranger, the compliment to a colleague, the time spent mentoring a younger person, that ripple outward and create profound change. Each act of service strengthens your character, nurtures your heart, and reminds you that you are part of something bigger than yourself. And here's the deeper truth. Giving is not just about the other person, it is about you too. When you shift your focus from what you lack to what you can give, your perspective changes. Your worries, your fears, and even your pain begin to lose their overwhelming power. You realize that life is not just about being fixed or complete, it is about contributing, connecting, and making a difference. Serving others creates a cycle of positivity that reinforces your own growth and resilience. Every life you touch becomes a mirror reflecting back the best version of yourself, the one you are actively rebuilding toward. Moreover, service teaches humility and gratitude. When you step outside of your own struggles and step into the lives of others, you see the world with fresh eyes. You recognize your own blessings, however small, and you cultivate a deeper appreciation for the journey you are on. You understand that everyone has battles they fight quietly, and this awareness fosters compassion, patience, and a sense of shared humanity. And when you give selflessly, without expecting recognition or reward, you experience a profound inner fulfillment that no achievement or accolade can ever match. Serving others also builds connection and community. Rebuilding yourself in isolation can be lonely, and often we underestimate the power of human bonds in the healing process. By extending support, love, and guidance to those around you, you create a network of trust, mutual respect, and encouragement. These relationships become pillars in your life, reminding you that rebuilding is not a solitary journey. It is a shared path of growth, learning, and mutual upliftment. So, my friends, remember this: when you serve others, you are not just helping them. You are strengthening yourself. You are transforming your pain into purpose, your struggles into empathy, and your journey into a story that inspires and uplifts. In giving, you receive. In lifting others, you rise. And in making a difference, you discover that the act of rebuilding yourself becomes inseparable from the act of enriching the lives of those around you.